without making this about Mint and the platform, but it is why we do what we do, because understanding what's important to people hopefully should enable companies and businesses to make better decisions for the benefit of their people. And that's what it's all about, because if you've got an engaged workforce, you've got a happier workforce, you've got a more
Mhm.
productive workforce, you've got a more profitable workforce. So where is the roadblock with businesses? And are you, what I mean by roadblock, probably slightly worded that incorrectly. Are you seeing problems in certain size companies versus other size companies, certain industries versus other industries? What what's doing well in terms of a sector when it comes to looking after their people? And is there any way others can learn from those sectors? Are you seeing anything that is sector specific, or is it more of a generalization, your view?
I think I'm seeing a few different things. So I would say ones that have more mission oriented nonprofits, something like that. I think there's realities that they're able to be very transparent about where they are in a way because of different things that have happened into the landscape and funding being removed, so they're able to have more transactional in specific conversation. Enterprise companies don't want to do that, right? Because you have your shareholders, you have different things like that. So it does remove a layer of transparency on here and what they can and cannot say, and also what they do want to say. They're not raising money in the same type of way, but I think that also helps with the transparency. You know what I'm saying? What we're going, and I think that's why we're seeing different things with mission-driven things, because once again, those people aren't always motivated by the money; they're motivated by the mission. So if people can understand what's holding up the mission, they can deal with some of the other things that are working in the way of most tech people or in that kind of space. A lot of them did join for that money. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want to hear and they don't care about all of that. And I think this is why it's important, even thinking in, I've worked with retail, HR, and doing different things that people have this image of a retail worker. And let me tell you, I've worked with some of the most amazing retail people that you can ever imagine, and I could never put them in a cascade bucket because everybody does it for different things. Some people want it to get out of the house. Some people have led these high status power jobs, and this is just something that feels cathartic for them. And I think this is a reason of why people are not a monolith. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about your coworker. You're not the same person as your coworker, but we get typecast, we get biased, we get placed in some of these things, especially by people who don't work with us or see us every day or understand us. And so I'm saying this is the chance to once again re-engage, also thinking about your business and what is it. If you don't really care about that feedback, I think that's also something to be upfront and honest about. Because if you're saying that you are really caring about this and doing all the actions, you're telling them whether you know it or not. So you're saying it anyway, whether you're out there saying it. But this is a reminder for people, because when people sign up for jobs, they're reading those job descriptions, whether you remember them or not. They're looking at those mission, vision, and values. They're making those decisions for themselves. And I think it's really important, you know what I'm saying, for you to stay aligned on that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as you would have seen, it's just gone dark on our end.
No worries.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse me while I try to wave at the light. There you go. As if by magic we have light. I think it's so true. What a couple of other things I'd be interested in your view. So when you talk about understanding what's important to the employees, and that's what employers should be doing, which I absolutely couldn't agree more. There's such a difference because we've got such a multi-generational workforce. We've always had a multi-generational workforce. It's just getting wider and wider and wider. And the difference between what
Mhm.
is important, what motivates Gen Z, and then what motivates my generation and above,
Mhm.
it's poles apart. So it does become very, very individual. And there's those different drivers. So companies need to be doing more in that respect. Are you seeing much of that?
Oh, absolutely. To be honest, I'm a psych person, so I think it's fascinating and extremely exciting. I think the one thing is, look, we all looked at our, family, parents, generations, or whatever before us, and they gave us these rights of life, these passages, things that we need to do to overcome. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of us maybe did some of those things, and we're looking back and seeing things, and with inflation, the rise of wealth, everything else like that, a lot of people have not escaped some of those same generations that they were by statistically doing the things that they should have. And so what's interesting is Gen Z has really picked up on that in a whole other different way that we have not been able to fully capture. And I think what's exciting about that is because most millennials or people before you got 18, you moved out of the house, you did college, whatever the case may be, but you had your own place. They're staying home longer because they understand the risk and the liabilities that have your own place. If you don't have that, you have a safety net. Most millennials never had that safety net. They were gone. And so that's why they can quit just like that, because I still have a home. I still have healthcare. I still have, what I'm saying? Some of the different things that people would not, we wouldn't have that option. And so this is why we can't roll with this iron fist or thumb thinking about this is the way we do things and we're your employer, because yeah, you're my employer today. That's what Gen Z says. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? As you should, it's work as a trade, and so they're really making you think of, I'm investing in you as a company. What are you investing in me? And I love that. That's how we should have been thinking about it, but people have not challenged them long enough. I think that other generations have gotten complacent, you know what I'm saying? But they're forcing us to change in a way that we are really not ready for. We also have the dynamic transformation of wealth transfer for boomers, the silent generation, everything else like that, and the way that they're moving in and out of systems and how they can interact with each other. We have 5 generations sometimes in a workplace.
Yeah.
Can you imagine communications, technology, AI? Absolutely, we're having conflict. But these are the things for me that I get really geeked up about. But also, it can't just be this blanket one-all-fit-all method. We really have to think about this in very different ways that we haven't been forced to think about before. That's not even considering the fact people are working longer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think everyone's journey is so individual, but it's mad when you think about it. You've got a business of X number of employees, and every one of their journeys is individuals. But the employer needs to make something that works for everybody. So they're coming at it from different angles, and it all boils down to engagement. When we set Mint up, we were really focused initially on retention, and I still think that's a big issue, and companies do need to focus on retention. But the penny dropped with us. It is all about engagement, because if you've got an engaged workforce, your retention
You will retain them.
and that's the starting point. COVID hasn't helped anything. And let's be honest. I mean, the world of work is unrecognizable post-COVID. There may well have been some problems beforehand, but they've absolutely been shone a light on now. So with so many employees wanting to go hybrid, and so many businesses struggling with what they feel is right for them, what advice are you giving to clients you're working with when they're facing those issues? I see you laugh, but I haven't seen you. It's a fairly regular conversation.
I'm laughing because, I think the thing is, I think a lot of businesses aren't being honest, right? And as somebody who is in the background with a lot of CEOs and talking, there is the face of we want community or we want engagement or we want that. But the reality is that they have these leases, especially in a city like New York, that are vastly expensive. And you get leases, it's not a 1-year lease. You know what I'm saying? We're talking 10, 5, 15, 20 years on these things. It's not easy getting out of them, especially when so many people are. And so if we're really going to talk about it, that's the part that I would say employees really aren't thinking about, or maybe not know, but that's like millions of dollars. So it's easy to say culture, come back so we can use this space, because they can't get rid of that debt. And really what I think we're falling into is a sunken cost fallacy of this. They're trying to retrieve as much worth as they can for what they are already spending, right? And I think when you're asking me to be on it, that's what I think it has to be. Stop saying it's in here for culture, because I'm going to flip the side on you and to say as soon as we start getting in person, sexual harassment is actually going to go up just for the fact that we're in person. Just for the fact we're in person. So if I can challenge you all day on these stats, but I'm saying also, what were you measuring? How are you telling that culture's improved? It's a lot of made up stuff. And so I'm saying this is also why people don't trust you, because you're not really saying what it is. I will literally ride with you and be like, look, we have to be in here for these 5 years, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. But after that, we're going to do it. But this is just what it is. If we can sublet this, or whatever. But I'm saying people can go with something that they trust, right? We can hunker down. Think about COVID. People thought companies were going to go out of business. All that, people hunkered down to do what they needed to do. People didn't just say we're working from home, we're never going to do things. But it was because we had a common goal. Right now, they feel like they're being lied to. And honestly, they are. They're being lied to. And you're asking me to get on board with something and you're not telling me the truth. And so when you're asking me what to say, I think we have to be honest about what the real issue is. If we're going to get rid of this in 5 years, don't talk about culture only for us to change this in 5 years and be like, oh, we can all be remote. then you just lied to me for all of that time. And so I'm saying honesty, transparency, those are the best ways. And that's also what gets people bought in. If we have to be in here because of this, or hey, as soon as we can get 4x4 out of here, then that's what we'll do. I can ride with that. I can accept that. And I can understand you're in a tough position because look, I mean, I have a lease. I know it's not easy to get out of a lease, you know what I'm saying? And also this was surprising for everybody, but don't tell me it's about culture when you don't know what even happened in culture. Don't tell me it's about you want to spend more time for this because what happened during that time. Please tell me about the great culture we have that you really know about and how much it's going to improve because we're bringing pizza and a ping pong table in here next week. I think we have to be for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I would coach and say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And I think it's quite interesting that there are certain industries and certain jobs where there's undoubtedly a much better chance of success if we are working together in an office. Yeah, but there are certain jobs that actually that requirement isn't there. So I think the flexibility piece is going to be important for both employees and employers to be able to try to get that balance. I think that.
Absolutely. But I think one thing now, going to you, is I think also people really jump the gun. When you think about when COVID happened, people used words I literally advise my companies, don't you ever use. Forever. We're going to work anywhere forever. Why? We have no idea what's happening. And that's what I'm saying. I felt like that's a promise you made me. And you're coming back on that and you're reneging it and you're asking me to have faith that this next promise is going to be real. That's what I'm saying. That's a huge violation of trust. That's a huge violation of safety, especially in the US where our jobs are tied to so much of what we have. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you're asking a lot of people when you've already lied to me. And that's what I think employers need to understand. They have the flexibility that employees do not. So you can't just think it's okay and you rip the carpet right up under me once I get comfortable. Or if you don't move in 90 days and sell your house, be for real. You clearly don't care about me. You know what I'm saying? You don't care about me.
And I think and it's interesting from what we see here at Mint, I think those businesses that truly are people focused, but truly care about their business, there's no surprise they have a better engaged,
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's clear to see